Made in Abyss is a good show. Yeah, surprise of the century, I'm sure. I certainly have some issues with it, but I also have a lot of praise for it. But I want to leave those thoughts for another time, perhaps even another video, as today what I'm going to be taking a look at is the music. A specific track actually, but let me give you a brief introduction to start off. The soundtrack for Made in Abyss was composed by Kevin Penkin. He's a composer who got into the anime field thanks to his work on the Kickstarter-backed anime Under the Dog, and since then has been contacted to work on several projects, this included. An Australian-born, English-speaking composer, it's no surprise that he's become a pretty big talking point in the anime community. It's only logical that we would be especially interested in someone with whom we can communicate directly, and him composing for one of the most popular and critically acclaimed anime of the year certainly helped with that, especially with how much freedom he was given in composing it, and how often the show goes out of its way to highlight the music, right from the beginning with Hanazeve Karatina in episode 1, to the end with the track Tomorrow closing out the show in an epic fashion. And thus, through this roundabout sentence, I've come to my main subject. Tomorrow is a really powerful track on its own, and used together with this concluding scene makes for an incredibly evocative conclusion, and a surprisingly satisfying stopping point, especially considering that the story is still incomplete. So what exactly makes it so great? Well, that's why I'm here today. Something I appreciate about the soundtrack is how it utilizes synthesized instruments, non-musical electronic sounds, often heavily distorted, and traditional instruments to create its distinct sound. Oftentimes you will find that a show goes all the way towards one specific style and the instruments that are utilized within that style, such as the upbeat electronic music behind Pong's soundtrack, or in the opposing case, the full-out orchestral of Space Brothers and Chihayafuru. I don't mean to give hate towards any of these soundtracks by any means, and there is value in capturing a specific style and all the traits of it, but as someone who is really into music, I love to find stuff that is new and interesting in the field of music, and it's why I can get so interested in contemporary pieces that might offend the ears of an inexperienced listener. Made in Abyss strikes a nice balance, where its sound is distinctly unique, but never especially offensive, which is particularly important for soundtracks, as when you become too challenging audially, you start to distract away from experiencing the show as a whole. In Tomorrow, Penkin creates a great narrative arc within the music. It starts with a bright and percussive electronic piano carrying the melody, the cheerful and simple tone highlighting the youthfulness of our main cast, and conveying a sense of nostalgia as we reflect back on just how far Riko and Reik have come. This is reflected visually too, as they send up a balloon to tell that they are still alive and still venturing further into the abyss. Even so, it bears a sense of melancholy to it. We hear a sound calling out that almost seems to mirror a mournful human voice in its rise and fall. The abyss is certainly no walk in the park, and our main duo have undergone far more than their fair share of struggles. We can only imagine what they might face as they journey further and further into the unforgiving abyss. Still, we know they will press onward, and that they will face every obstacle hand in hand, now with a new friend by their side. Against all odds they have come this far, and they are determined to make it even farther. This journey is their mission, and they will not be easily dissuaded. As if brushing away its doubts, the tone of the song begins to shift towards the positive once more, the somber percussion and synth fading away as an upbeat and cheerful mandolin takes the forefront, supported and eventually superseded by a simple but beautiful melody in the piano, while it continually plays chords that press us forward, confidently moving into the unknown. The crashing cymbals and drums also keep us moving as the soundscape grows even more crowded, the emotional stakes more intense. The strings ease in, a jumpy electronic sound above it all. It quickly moves between a higher and lower pitch at an inconsistent rate in a way that really feels human. The imperfection of it is precisely what makes it effective. We reach a climactic point where the strings carry this powerful theme we have been building towards. Earlier, it subtly reflected in the piano, and now taking the forefront. It is taken up to its peak by the even more powerful brass in a stunning midpoint, a synthesized organ enhancing the grandness of this occasion. It's pretty darn cool. After this peak, it fades away briefly, the piano carrying us into the next section, a single note in the string signifying the start of a new idea. Here we have a vocalize, where the singers are conveying a melody but not through any type of words or syllables. Penkin's use of voice in a way where one must supply their own interpretation, rather than having any solid lyrics with which to grasp onto, is commendable. Though here it is much more minimal than the untranslatable speech that takes the forefront in Hanazeve Karatina, it still carries so much emotional power, and also somewhat takes us back to the scene in episode 1, again making us reflect on how far we've come. The way they quickly descend in this beautiful melody also has a sense of that which is foreign, even robotic, as they hit each individual note, rather than the smooth descension of a glissando that is much more common and comes to us more naturally, especially for fast passages. We're left little time to reflect on this peaceful moment though. A sound effect like that of rushing wind kicks things off, horn entering followed by an intense ascending tremolo in the string section. At first, the brass enters one after another, then in a variety of pairings with an increasingly powerful descending line, as the piece grows more and more intense with each passing second. Underneath, we hear a percussive sound like that of a clock unceasingly ticking away, the quickly oscillating electronic sound of Prior filling out the dramatic scene. The moments of dissonance are inviting rather than aggressive, and despite the largeness of this conclusion, it feels friendly, as if the show is inviting us further, asking us to step forward as Nanachi does, into a bright new day, to come along a bit longer on this intense emotional experience with all its manic highs and lows, to make us laugh and make us cry, the dichotomy of fear and joy, the intensity with which the abyss calls to us all. Hey, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, do consider subscribing, and I'd also turn on alerts since with school at the moment I can't put out videos anywhere near as frequently as I would like to. If you want to see more music analysis from me, let me know, and feel free to comment what shows you think have soundtracks worth talking about. And if I said something wrong, also let me know. I'm just a guy that loves music, and I'm always looking to be better informed. If you want to familiarize yourself with some more of my content, I recommend checking out my video on Girls' Last Tour. It's by far my favorite video I've done to date, and it's a pretty emotional one at that. Or if you want more straight up analysis, you can check out my video discussing the stellar visuals of Hoseki no Kuni, or the soundtrack behind MMO Junkie. If you want to hear my opinions on the regular, if in a more condensed form, then be sure to hit up my Twitter at Core Reviews. I also recently started a new podcast with some other AniTubers where we're discussing old anime called Natsugashi that you might enjoy. Anyways, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.